You know your motorcycle's chain needs to be cleaned, lubricated, and tensioned, but how do you know when it's starting to wear out and should be replaced? You can actually assess your bike's chain and sprockets in seconds without any tools, and I'll show you how to do it in this episode of the Shop Manual. This episode is powered by DuraBoost batteries. Get 10% off your DuraBoost purchase at RevZilla.com with discount code TSMBoost10. The easiest way to check the condition of your chain is to grab it at the back of the rear sprocket and pull. A healthy chain won't have much movement and will sit snugly against the sprocket. However, as the pins and bushings within the links wear, the chain will elongate and begin to pull away from the sprocket. Some amount of movement is acceptable and inevitable, but if you can lift the chain high enough that you can see daylight under a link, then your chain is definitely worn out. You should also take a close look at your bike's sprockets, specifically the shape of the teeth. New or healthy sprocket teeth are going to have a nice symmetrical taper to them, but as the chain wears and elongates, the rollers ride higher up on the teeth, and that's going to wear them from the nice even taper into more of a hook. Other warning signs to look out for when you're evaluating your chain is excessive rust and corrosion from sitting out in the weather, as well as kinked and stiff links. Now, with sealed chains, it's not uncommon to see some out of alignment links due to the drag caused by the O-rings, but if you can't easily straighten those by hand, that's a sign that your chain is starting to bind up, and that's bad news. It's also worth pointing out that when the chain is cold, it's going to feel more stiff, and that's because of the O-rings and grease surrounding the pins and bushings. Speaking of O-rings, you want to make sure they are all present and intact. If you sight a line down your chain, you're going to see this little gap between the outer and inner plates. That's where the O-rings that seal in grease and seal out dirt and water live. If they are damaged, cracked, or missing, that is immediate grounds for replacement. And when it comes time to replace your drivetrain, you're going to want to do it as a set. The chain and sprockets wear together, so you need to replace them together. It might be tempting to just throw a new chain on, but even if your sprockets are only slightly worn, you're going to end up with more noise and vibration, and it's going to wear out the new parts you just installed more quickly. Another tip when replacing this stuff is to buy nice or buy twice. Cheaping out on budget chains and sprockets is going to leave you with a shorter service life, so you're going to end up replacing parts earlier than if you just spent a little more money on quality parts from companies like DID, EK, Vortex, and other name brands. Ask me how I know. If you're wondering how long your chain and sprockets will last, that depends. Depends on whether it's a sealed or an unsealed chain, how powerful your bike is, how often you lubricate it, how often you ride in the rain or the dirt, etc. However, as a general rule, you can expect unsealed chains to wear much faster than sealed chains. It might only last a couple thousand miles, whereas O-ring and X-ring sealed chains are far more durable. If you do a decent job of cleaning and lubricating it, you should be able to see 15 to 20,000 miles or more out of a set of sprockets in a new chain. Assessing your bike's chain and sprockets is a fundamental piece of motorcycle maintenance, and now you know how to do it. Thanks for watching this episode of the Shop Manual. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something. And I gotta say, I enjoy it. It's a huge privilege to be able to teach people about motorcycles so they can understand them and work on them better. So if you like what we do here, you like the information we bring and the questions we answer, just know that the Shop Manual is produced with funds when people like you make a purchase at RevZilla. So if you want to support the Shop Manual, support RevZilla. And if you want more motorcycle content, you want written reviews and news, cruise on over to Common Tread, where we are constantly publishing new content.